Yes, Hornets, how are we? Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel with myself, Jacob Coleshaw, no Sam Yuko. He's living his best life for the next couple of months. But as always, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Charlie Zera. Charlie, how are you, buds? It's, what date are we? 11th of July. We've had our first pre-season game. It's absolutely boiling. I mean, you can see this fan in the sort of bottom right-hand corner. That is saving me at the minute. But someone said to me the other day, put a sort of a cold towel on top of the fan and it starts spraying cold water as you're sleeping. What's your thoughts on that?
Coleshaw's life hacks. Yeah. Try it at home, people. Let us know how you get on. Yeah, I haven't got a fan, so you're probably going to see sweat dripping from my head during this video. And I am feeling a bit hot after Jacob revealed a hot take about this season before we started recording, but I guess we can save that to the predictions video.
Wowee. We will save it just to keep the audience reeled in. And our subscribers. Thanks so much to everyone who joined today. Hope you're doing well. Hope the summer is treating you well. If you've jetted off somewhere, or if you were at Boreham Wood this week to watch the Mighty Yellows under Paolo Pezzolano for their first pre-season game. We'll get into that in just a second. We'll be touching on some transfer news, both in and out of Watford, and potentially a few more coming in as well, which is quite exciting, Charlie, because actually I'm going to start there. When was the last time you felt excited in a transfer window? I have to say, when, regardless of the players that will come in, and we'll see, we'll find out in due course if they're good signings. Just the idea of even stuff today where we're seeing Watford will replace any players that go this transfer window. There's three more positions that have been rumoured to come in. Before we even get into the details of that, just that buzz, I think, for me, is quite refreshing because I feel like we've needed that after last season.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm excited just yet. I don't know if that's a kind of hangover from what happened at the back end of last season. I still think loads of stuff could change. There was a bit of news that came out which we could talk about potential hijacking, which really worried me or is worrying me. So yeah, I'm not too sure. Like the last time I could really remember being excited was when we were linked with, and then we got Ismail Assar. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can remember that, but that was like a bit of a mini saga, and it looked like the deal was off. And then we saw him like last day of the window, I think, came in. Whether that was a big picture successful signing or not, he gave us some really good memories. And hopefully we're going to get another Senegalese electric player coming in. But encouraging start, I'd say. I wouldn't say exciting just yet because plenty can happen. It seems really quiet about Georgie, even Louza. I think there was a report saying Watford wants him to stay and have asked him to do so. But can you see those guys staying?
I think Georgie will. I'm pretty confident Georgie will be here come the first day of the season. Loser,
That's
I'm
not what
still.
he was saying at the end of the season, though, was it? So what's changed?
I think it must be the clause in his contract. And I don't think there's clubs that want to gamble on the fee because of his injury records. And he's that sort of weird player, Georgie, where he's a top championship player, but probably clubs in the Premier going, can we afford to take that punt on Georgie? Now, I think the one rumour that I thought had a bit of legs was when he got linked to Valencia.
Mm.
And I thought not only was the Mamadashvili link with Georgia, but also now he's left, but you get what I'm saying. I also thought that would actually quite suit Georgie playing in La Liga. So I wouldn't rule it out completely, but I'd be surprised if he went to a Prem team. As for Louza, it seems actually we'll start there because Watford have asked Imran Louza to stay for one more year. Charlie, we've got a piece from the new Watford FC sports correspondent who's been on the channel before, Adam Drury. We'll get a round of applause for Adam because not only is he a top man, he's incredibly talented and just the loveliest bloke. So we wish Adam all the best with this role, taking over Andrew French's shoes. Big shoes to fill, but we know Adam will do, not only do his best, but will be able to do that as good as he can. And make sure you do read all of Adam's pieces. The first few, Charlie, have been great, haven't they, in terms of the insight, but also just, I think what I loved about Andrew was that when he wrote about Watford, he did live and breathe it. And Adam will live and breathe it. And I think, especially with local journalism, you need that, especially at the minute, because I don't know, there's almost so much news, not to go on a deeper, wider point about the world, but there's so much news. It feels like the news cycle just constantly is moving. And when you've got a club like Watford, local journalism is as important as ever. So, yeah, all the best to Adam. Any words for Mr. Jury?
I'm just really buzzing for him. I spoke to him. I tried to get him out to Slovakia to watch the under-21s, but he just came off his. He's had a great couple of months. He got married recently. So yeah, like really excited for him. It's literally like a childhood dream for him to kind of be a journalist for Watford. So like you said, he's going to absolutely smash it. And yeah, even do little bits of video content after the Boreham Wood game. He wants to keep up. So
Big fun.
yeah, he gets it. He gets what it is to be Watford. So hopefully the team can deliver for him to make it a memorable first season.
This is the account to follow, as Charlie says. Adam Drury on socials, and that was the first piece, and a great shot as well. I'm trying to work out what game that was. Was that 2015-16 Palace semi-final?
It looks like an empty Wembley, so I don't know if he stayed after Palace had beaten us, or maybe he's just got there really, really early. But
Smiling afterwards, because that was when Pantilimon decided to scissor kick Balassi.
yeah, but it is that shirt, isn't it? 2015-16, 10 years ago today, or this year.
Oh, my word. Where's the time going? Anyway, make sure you do go and give Adam a follow. All the links to his pieces, and we retweet all of them on WD18. So if you don't see them, you can see us. See those reads on our Twitter at WD18 fans, on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Let's get into the article that Adam did write on Imran Louza, which was a big one that came out. When did that come out? It must have been at the start of the week, wasn't it? And the line was that Imran Louza has been asked to stay by Watford for promotion push. Watford want Imran Louza to remain at the club this summer and hope he will decide to lead their push for promotion. Whether that may be a little hint about potentially the next captain this season, I don't know, because Batman could be on his way out this summer. The Watford Observer understands the Hornets have proposed that the midfielder gives them one more year of service, with his desire to play at the highest level, then fulfilled either way. And the offer and deal that Gino Pozzo has given him is that should they win promotion, Louza will be a Premier League player, absolutely. And if not, he'll move to Udinese, which will virtually be guaranteed for the Moroccan international. Now, look, Louza's probably the winner out of all this, isn't he? I mean, Watford are the winner in the sense if he stays. But Louza, three options for him, right? He gets his move this summer. He leads. He doesn't. He plays for Watford, which clearly he loves playing for the club. But then if not, he goes to Udinese. My only hesitation with this, Charlie, is there's been a couple of interesting comments about having a player who, not to say he's not 100% fully committed, but clearly if there was an offer, he would move on. Do you have any concerns about that?
It just depends what the offer is, and there's obviously like a valuation on him, and if any club reaches that valuation, he'll be gone. I couldn't help but smile when I read that piece, because that offer of, hey, you can go to Udinese if you want. I don't know how appealing that is to players. Hey, I'm sure Udin's a really nice place.
Super Cup final.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I think when I looked at the highlights from Boreham Wood and hearing what Adam had to say, especially positionally, really interesting, and we'll get into it in a bit. But yeah, I think it's one of those. That's the valuation. I think we spoke about in previous videos how much we think it's worth. He's worth. If you hit it, he'll be gone. If not, he'll stay. And then if we don't go up, we'll go Udinese. So seems pretty fair. And I think the mood's changed and the messaging's changed a bit from he's leaving or he's handed in a transfer request, whatever. And you see him in training, in the training videos. He scored a great goal as well against Boreham Wood. So I don't think he's one to throw his toys out of the pram, to be honest. I think that he had a real good connection with Clevs. But I think now, especially winning player of the season, he feels like one of the leaders, and we've seen him with the armband on several occasions last year, so we'll not be surprised if he gets it on a more permanent basis next season.
No, agreed. On that Boreham Wood game, Louza was in that midfield too, wasn't he, with Cipriano? And a lot of people that went to the game, I wasn't there, unfortunately, said that Louza was kind of dictating and Cipriano was breaking it up and being sort of that enforcer in there. I do really like the sounds. It just feels like it's got a good balance to it. On paper, anyway, we'll see, obviously, come the first game. And are you someone who reads too much into pre-season, Charlie? Because people have raised the point about the 1920 pre-season being a famous, historic pre-season where we won every single game. We beat Ajax, the Champions League semi-finalists, in Austria, was it? I think
Who
so.
scored in that Ajax game? To be honest, I don't care about pre-season that much. I can't remember that one.
Who scored in it?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think Ben Foster was man of the match because he did the
Foster scored.
he did the rap that went viral. But that was, I mean, that was a pre-season that was an absolute walk in the park, and then we go on to get relegated that season. So look, we're not going to read it too much into it, but all the signs there, it was a positive run out at Boreham Wood. So Louza potentially staying, which is really encouraging, at least for a season. On Boreham Woods, we mentioned his position, we mentioned the goal. Charlie, Baxter, Vata, Kipriano, and Dumbia were the only players who started both halves. I will get both lineups up, but it was pretty much a completely different lineup from the first half to the second half. Interesting, Kipriano was a centre back in the second half. Is that is something you were quite interested in?
Yeah, I think for me, what I found interesting when I didn't see the game, I wasn't watching, but when I saw Louza scored, and then when I saw Kipriani played centre half, I thought interesting is Louza playing further forward. But then when I watched the clips, especially in the first half, he was back to his kind of like the left centre back, finding those pockets to really dictate play. So I find that really encouraging because for me, there's not another player in the Championship who's got that ability to build up from deep and have that passing range, whether it be through the lines or long to our wide players. I think you might have a difference of opinion because I'd quite like Loser as like a deep line six, collecting it from the centre halves when they split as well. What do you think is Loser's best position? Because he's obviously got quality in front of goal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he first came to Watford, he was pitched as more of an 8, right, and a bit more of an advanced midfielder. Some interesting news just coming in actually about a player Watford might have signed, which I will get into in just a second.
Breaking news.
Charlie's gone full. Charlie's gone full Henry Carragher there. I've got the transfer mark ready to go when you were talking. I was like, I'm going to fire that up. But on Loser's best position, I know when he was at Morocco, when he was playing in Ligue 1 for Nantes, he played more advanced. Then he became that 6, didn't he, in the Premier League, because technically he was the best on the ball. And obviously we needed to get, I remember that United game we always talk about at home, because he's got a lot of really, really good attributes, Loser. For me, I like him in that too. I think because that allows him to go forward. Whereas if you have him as a 6 out and out on his own, it kind of limits him how far he can progress forward. It's almost at the detriment because he's so good on the ball. You almost waste him a little bit if you have him too deep. You want him, I think, in that second, third, influence in the game. So I actually think in a 2, next to someone like Kipriano who can break it up and do that, and Luz doesn't have to worry about that as much. Give the ball to Loser, he can do his magic. So I'm going to get the player that's been linked now.
Can I just quickly, before you quickly reveal that,
Yeah.
we'll keep the retention up for the viewers. I've just looked on that season, Watford versus Ajax, that pre-season. Apparently we lost to Ajax 2-1. The goal scorers on that day, Andre Gray, and for Ajax, Donny van den Beek and Julian Timber.
Bloody hell. I thought
We,
we won.
we did beat Bayer Leverkusen.
Okay.
Game. Goal scorers, William Hughes, Andre Gray, and Diaby of Bayer Leverkusen. Remember him? He went to Villa.
Diaby. Blimey.
We also beat QPR after that. But anyway, and Real Sociedad and Brentford.
So, on the player that's been linked, I love that, by the way. That's really niche pre-season knowledge that only Watford fans would get. No one outside would understand that the significance of how bad that season was compared to the pre-season.
One more really interesting thing while I'm getting them up. Obviously, we beat QPR. That's standard. We beat Real Sociedad 2-1. Guess who scored for Real Sociedad?
Odegaard?
I hate him. No. Yusabal, who scored for Spain against England in the final.
Oh my word. What year was that?
So this is 2019. So we lost to Ajax 2-1. Andre Gray scored.
Yeah.
Beat Bayer Leverkusen 2-1. Andre Gray scored. QPR 1-0. Capu. Beat Real Sociedad 2-1. Andre Gray at the double. And Watford 2-0 versus Brentford. Capu and Sarr.
Goodness me. Right, we've teased it long enough. The audience retention is going up. So, bit of breaking news coming out of Denmark from Tipsbladet, which is a very, very reliable newspaper. That OB, which is Odense Bold Club, who play in the Danish First Division, so the one with Midtjylland in it, Brøndby, Copenhagen. that Watford are very close to signing their star striker, Luca Kjerrumgaard. Last season, this is the article from Tips at Bladet. Last season, he played in the first division. Now he can get a huge move to the Championship. Tips Bladet can reveal that Luca Kjerrumgaard is on the verge of having his big dream fulfilled with a big move to Watford. According to their information, the clubs are so far advanced in the process that a transfer is expected to be completed. We have a look at his transfer marked. He's 22 years old. He has a market value at the moment of 2 million euros. If we look at his goal scoring records last season, which is obviously most important recently anyway, he scored in 18 games, 14 goals and got 5 assists. I think it's an interesting setup in Denmark, but it says he played in sort of two, maybe a play. But anyway, last season he played 28 games and scored 22 goals and got 7 assists. This is their best player. Charlie, reaction.
My reaction is my football knowledge is so great that I've never heard of him. I'm just quickly looking now and looking at the profile. Danish. Well, I'm getting flashbacks of a couple of years ago. 22 years old, market value 2 million euros. Played in the Danish first tier last season. And yeah, I think they might have a playoff. He scored 22 goals last season, 7 assists. Interesting, yeah. First I've ever heard of him. I didn't think it was a market we'd go back to after Rivich, if I'm completely honest. I'd be interested to know the difference in level between this team and, do you remember where Rivich was from? Kramer? Someone like that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think we'd go back in that market for a striker because I thought Rivich was way off the level. How old is Rivich? Can you remember?
Rivich is 25. What was that? Yeah, 25. With Kjerrumgaard, what's interesting is I got that wrong. Just to correct myself, they played in the Danish. So the first division is the second tier, but one below the Superliga, and they got promoted to the Superliga. So he scored 22 goals in the Danish second tier. He also contributed 7 assists, and that's the reason why they got one of the significant reasons why they got promoted to the top league in Denmark. Now he's very close to moving to Watford, who are also just medical signatures away from selling Milita Rivich. And there we have it. So that is one that looks like it's pretty much there. There's your striker. On that, we'll keep across that. There's not much for us to add, but that's the news at the minute on Kjerrumgaard. But I guess that does ask the question, Charlie, about the positions that Watford were going to address. So the striker was one. That seems to be done. Another centre-back and another... What was it? Another centre-back, another striker.
Winger, and obviously Wiley's coming in as well.
And Wiley's coming in. So then we had a bit more confirmation that sources confirmed that Watford are in the market for another centre-back. Lou Warnes has basically added that will roughly be a loan, right, Charlie, from a club?
Yeah. Interesting. And I think, look, Sirauta left, so... And I don't feel like we haven't done many loans, have we yet? I might be wrong with that. We have got quite a few in by free agents, so there's obviously space for a loan. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who we go for. I imagine it'd be like a Premier League, maybe Premier League youngster, or someone who's on the kind of on the sidelines for their team or on the bench. I'm quite liking the look of our defensive setup. I think the big thing really is Kevin Caben. If he can stay fit, I think that would be a real big thing for us. But for me, like looking at his record, I'm anticipating going to Banquo and Pollock, which I do not hate at all. But I think with Caben there, really good competition for Matty.
Lou Warnes has said that Watford look at another striker, done. Winger and centre-back. Then if players leave, they'll be replaced also. Striker and winger, Diallo, seen as immediate first-team upgrades. And then the centre-back likely alone. On the striker, just one last thing to add on Kjerrumgaard. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. 6'3" striker, 22 goals last season, 22 years old. Now, just to add to that, Napoli and Torino had been tracking him. They didn't see him as an immediate option to start, but a good investment for the future. but they rate him highly and think he's got potential to improve. So that's
So
sort of
this
first.
do you think this will be the experienced striker? Do you think this is the only one?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he is young, but at the same time, he is experienced technically for how many seasons he's played. Like looking at his all seasons, Charlie, he's been playing first team football since 2022. So it's 3 full seasons playing in Danish football.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have to have a look at it, but I really like the profile, but it's just that age thing, and I think the messaging has been pretty clear about an experienced striker, hasn't it? I think like so. Could this be another one? Is it a market opportunity like Maamma, which we're going to talk about? Really sorry about that pronunciation. Jacob knows it a lot better than me. And by the way, Sky Sports, if you're watching, get this man on the transfer news. Seeing that break live, expert.
I don't know about that. I was scrambling, making sure it was all covered. One that has been reported by Sky Sports actually is Papa Diallo. Now we mentioned a potential hijacking from Norwich. That deal does seem a bit almost too advanced for it to be hijacked. I think apparently he had his medical. It just needs to be signed off. From what I was reading, now that could really come back to bite me. I hope that doesn't. But hard work is continuing to go into signing a centre forward with pedigree, further winger, with our latest report on Wednesday outlining that the deal to sign Papa Diallo from Metz was still progressing. Sky did come out with that stuff about Norwich potentially coming in. They're exploring the conditions of the potential deal, but are aware a £4.3 million move to Watford is quite far down the line, and Watford's still confident after the 21-year-old completed a medical in France. Charlie, are you worried? I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not. He's under control.
They're selling Borja signs, aren't they, to Porto? So there's that obvious gap on the left. I'm just worried that they might sell the bigger, better project. And like our friends at Talk Norwich City, if people don't know, Chris and Jack, who run an amazing fan channel, they did a video recently about their new signing, Matthias Kvistgaarden, who is also a Danish striker, 23 years old, but he's got a lot more pedigree about the man. I'm afraid his market value is 15 million. So this is where I'm a bit worried about the kind of levels. And look, this is their big signing. We don't know if there's another striker coming in. I can't imagine we'd have 4. Would we send Dumbia out on loan?
You said it wasn't exciting. I told you, it's good fun. We're back at the transfer window.
Yeah. But the lad who Norwich signed, I think he was keeping Rajovic out of the team at Bromby. Was Rajovic at Bromby last season?
Yeah.
I might be miles off it, but he's highly rated, and those guys did a video reacting to that, acting like they've signed Messi. Like they were so excited. So if Diallo goes to Norwich, I will be wounded. But I don't know. It seems, fingers crossed. My only thing, if Diallo doesn't come, is like we've got Rocco Vata in that position, and he looked really lively against Boreham Wood. And like I'm really excited to see what Rocco can do this season. So I don't think it'd be an absolute disaster with Diallo, but the fact that they're putting down a bit of money on him, I don't know if any of these reports about the strikers mentioned a fee, but yeah, obviously Diallo would be nice to have, and obviously the club want him, and like we talked about him in the last video, he seems a really exciting player. But for me, would it be the end of the world? I still think a striker is absolutely pivotal, and this Danish lad, I'm still not fully convinced. But then I've literally found out that he existed about 5 minutes ago.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll do a more in-depth analysis when he gets signed. But that was sort of the initial reaction on that sort of breaking news coming in. One deal that did get confirmed today, Charlie, was Othmane Maamma. Now, 2 things. Firstly, Maamma and Papa potentially on the left and the right, as you said. But 2, if we don't create a chant to a Queen song,
Maamma.
Yeah, I'm going to tease it, but someone's got to deliver. Someone's got to deliver something. 5-year deal, seen as a project signing. This is one of the key things to say about this deal. So Watford have completed the signing of Moroccan youth international Othmane Maamma on a 4-year contract and view him as a project rather than an immediate starter. The Watford Observer reported this week that Maamma was in the UK for talks with the Hornets, and a deal to sign him from Montpellier has now been confirmed. Key line here. The club do not view the 19-year-old winger as someone who will immediately be relied on to contribute, but they believe they have struck a good deal to sign a promising young player who they can develop during his stay at Vicarage Road. Now, we heard something similar when Duomo joined Watford last season. He went on to play more football than we probably thought second half of the season. And then we have regularly reported Watford's intention to bolster their attack this summer, and Maamma, who could play on both flanks, does add to the numbers in that area of the pitch. So, Charlie, it seems like an opportunity's arose from where, I don't know. Watford do have good connections in Ligue 1. I'm speaking to someone who watches a lot of French football. Montpellier did really struggle last year. So clearly he was maybe one of the shining lights of that team. I saw a few clips and I really do like, there's clearly raw talent there from the clips I've seen. Obviously, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I did like the look of him. On Diallo, actually, just to digress very, very quickly, I did ask that same person about Diallo, and he said, a very promising youngster coming from the best academy in Senegal, signed at the best Senegalese scouting team in France, similar to a Sadio Mane journey. Diallo is already considered as an option for Senegal. Looked at one of the best wingers in Ligue 2 last season, and shows some good potential in Ligue 1 this season before. And he looks already fit for Championship football. So that's on Diallo. But on Maamma, Charlie, what's your thoughts?
Excited. I when I was looking through clips and I was looking at Twitter, I saw his Liga debut against Monaco.
Yeah.
So like proper team, and he looked electric, really, really dribbly, exciting, similar to kind of Rocco Vata, but interestingly, he played on the right. Yeah, it's interesting the messaging the club have put out today and in the Watford Observer about he could potentially go out on loan, which interests me. One thing that, because I think it'd be good to have like a solid backup for Barr on the right. Remember last season we had Sissoko playing there, who he did all right actually, but for me, he could be a good option. Shall I tell you one thing that I would quite like for balance? Like if we do have Barr and he's fully fit, I think it would really be a nice kind of balance and a bit of contrast to have like a Martial Godot, like that left-sided Iron Robin type, just to mix things up. And can you imagine if a defender's played 60, 70 minutes against Barr and then you've got someone coming in on the left foot? I think Maamma can play across the three. I think he's played on the left and right wing, obviously from the left cutting in, like Diallo, hopefully, like Rocco Vata. But interesting that he could play on the right. And a wider point, which I think's happening, and maybe a bit of prediction from me, but I think we might be seeing the return of traditional wingers. Wingers playing on their right side. We've seen it a few times, Club World Cup. Arsenal buying Madueke, who I think is going to be playing on the left more often than not. That's where he played for England recently. I'm under Thomas Tuchel. So Maamma playing on the right, getting on the outside, getting crosses in, giving defenders nightmare. Really exciting. For me, it's like I'm not going to put him in the João Pedro category. Maybe we can talk about his performance in a bit. But Doumbia took some time to bed in. Obviously, raw talent there. An opportunity came up and Watford pulled the trigger. Hopefully in 2 or 3 seasons, he can be a top player for us.
No, I like it. I'm always a fan of these sort of signings, I think, because I think the risk to reward ratio is quite good for us. Like realistically, we've obviously got him on a good fee, and because we've got him on a long-term deal, and the option is there that we could send him out on loan this season. I don't think we will, to be honest. I don't think we will. I think it's very similar to Duomo, where he came in, everyone was like, he's a development player. I think that was the sort of phrase used by Cleverly last season with certain players. And it feels like with him that, sure, loan's an option, but I think that Pezzolano will have an in around the squad. And let's be honest, we are going to have a lot of games and injuries will come up and there'll be fatigue and there'll be suspensions and you just need players in those positions. And actually that links really nicely on, Charlie, to the way that Pezzolano wants to play, because judging by what people said on in the week with Boreham Wood, people said that everyone was really aggressive out of possession. Now, for that to be sustainable over the season, you need a lot of options, particularly in the wide areas, I think. And you need energy, you need intensity. So, Pezzolano tactics. Jeff Doyle from Three Counties spoke with coach Camillo Speranza. And what were the takeaways, Charlie, from that listen? Was there anything in particular you thought is interesting to note?
With tactic stuff, and especially kind of Pezzolano post Clevs, I haven't thrown myself into into it really. And I think I'm still kind of scarred after Valball 2.0 when we got sold the dream about this high pressing team and we just didn't see it at all. And I think nowadays, when you ask any manager about their principles, a lot of them will say the same thing. And it's the good managers are the ones who can implement it. And I think the positive things from the Boreham Wood game, especially according to Adam, was the out possession play, the counter pressing. We created quite a few chances from nicking it from their defenders. We almost got it off the goalkeeper. By the way, Jack Greaves came on. There's something about him. He looks, I don't know, like a player. He didn't have the greatest loan spell, but be interesting to see what happens to him next season. Maybe a League One loan, but I really like his physical build for a player of his age. Um, I've said it before, but he reminds you of Declan Rice, kind of that powerful runner. But yeah, Pezzolano, what did he say? He likes a 4-3-3. Obviously, we've seen Louza play it. We saw Louza play that, the holding with Kipriani next to him and Sissoko as a third midfielder. I think that's going to change a lot. Yeah, possession, wants to keep the ball, be patient. One thing that came across is keep it simple, which I haven't really heard from coaches, which is interesting. And I think less is more sometimes. Simplicity can be beautiful. And I think if he's putting together, I've read before that he is quite a Guardiola disciple when it comes to positional play. So he wants his players in the right position, learning it off by heart, and that way you're going to create the better chances. So if he can translate that to the players and they are keeping it simple, I do think we have the talent for once our players get in those right areas to score loads of goals, and then defensively as well with the quality that we've got in defence. Interestingly as well, talking about our build-up and how he wants to play. Some fans might not like this, but this is very much modern football, and we could hear some moans and groans from the rookery end. But I think he is going to want short build-up. I think he's going to want to kind of entice their strikers and then hit the gaps to the three men up front and be really quick and aggressive. That was what Jeff Doyle was saying when he spoke to the coach. But yeah, he talked about kind of simplicity, but in transition, aggression and speed. I've just seen one of Luke's tweets, Lou Orns, talking on the striker before I miss it. And someone asked, very curious, are we signing him or another striker? And Luke said, I think we're going with him. Seems as if we've picked a good one, but risky, like you say, the Sunderland approach.
That's interesting.
How do you feel about that? Putting all our eggs in a youngster's basket.
I would like there to be a more experienced as well, experienced option as well, because I feel like who the striker options now would be Dumbia, the man who's coming in, Semedo, average age of 20, 21 between the three of them. What, 22, 21, 19. Yeah, I mean, I think you would have like an established pedigree striker. They would argue he is. They would argue he is. Now, what the gamble is the level he's played at, because he clearly, I mean, we said this about Rajovic, so I am a little bit hesitant to go too big. But what I will say is that they would argue he's a pedigree striker because of the fact that he's done it over a couple of seasons, whereas Semedo is more of a gamble because he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it consistently. He's shown sort of bright sparks. I think what's more interesting as a wider point is this approach from Watford. When you look at the signings we're making and the average age of them, I clearly think this is what doesn't add up for me at the minute, right, with this Watford squad, is I look at the players we've been linked with and I look at the average age and the experience of the players, and then I look at the aim and the ambition. Now, the aim and ambition is quite clear. We want to go up, right? We're going for promotion. At the same time, you do need a mix of experience with this youth. And I just feel at the minute there's some really exciting, young, talented players. I'm absolutely all for it. I think that's the sort of player that Watford can really attract. Pedro being the perfect example. The fact he started his sort of journey really properly with Watford after we signed him from Fluminense. But I think if you want to be in a promotion push, the Watford teams I think of that have been successful had a nice balance between that youth and players who've been there and done it. And I think we're like a little bit, maybe at the minute, we're probably a little bit too far one side than the other. But it's early, it's a month left.
Yeah, do you know what I reckon their argument will be? we're keeping hold of those our experienced players. They've all had another year in the Championship. We're
True.
not selling anyone. If
True.
we do sell some, we'll replace it. Louza, experience, Sissoko, Kayembe. So I think that's their argument. I agree with you. Going into the season with a 22-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 20-year-old striker in the Championship, I think is really unrealistic to think any of those are going to set the world alight, and or three of them are going to score 10 plus goals. So, but then I get where they're coming from, because there's an opportunity to do it early, get him in. Whereas like to get the pedigree of players they want who are more experienced, you're going to have to wait till the deadline, aren't you? So I don't know. I think everyone's going to want to watch more experience, and I think we're all a bit. When did we have it? Literally, we haven't had good strikers since like Igalo and Dini 10 years ago. Have we?
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. So it's a gamble, but I guess Watford are in the position where they're going to back their scouts and they're going to back the metrics they base it off, and we'll see. Clearly, there's some. I wonder how long they have been tracking this striker. It'd be interesting to know the sort of when it looks like it's going to happen. It looks like it's probably further down the line than the article is. He's probably having a medical. That's the way these transfers are working. Even like Gibbs White yesterday, I'm seeing it just happen overnight. That had been in the works clearly for a little while. So these things clearly have been worked on. We'll see. But it's just one thing to raise in terms of I think when we talk about the promotion push and then we look at Watford's squad at the minute, I really like these young players. Like I'm a big fan. I think Watford's a perfect club for young players to come, really, in terms of you're near London. It's a good fan base. There's a track record of developing players. You get the opportunity to put yourself in the shop window. You don't have the pressure of like look, we're going for a promotion, but there's a different pressure playing from if you're expected to go up. Watford aren't expected to go up, so we're kind of like it would be a little bit of a surprise package. But I just look at the squad at the minute, and really the only one above 30 is Sissoko. It's Sissoko and Batman. So this is a change in model from Watford. They are going for younger players that they can develop. But I just feel like maybe a couple of more championship hardened footballers wouldn't go amiss.
How long have we been saying that? And I just think
Like a Mark Bowler. Like a Mark Bowler. I spoke to a Borough fan the other day who said he was a great backup for them. Every time he came in, he did the job. He was reliable. That's a great signing. I know he doesn't need to be 30. It's just someone like that who has a track record of doing it at this level. Sorry,
yeah.
Charlie.
And we've got Cipriano, who's really experienced. I know he's young, but literally captain Peterborough. So it's interesting. I just think the club, Gino, has seen the success they've had by buying young players and flipping them, as opposed to buying older players and then not being great and losing money on them. Wages as well of these young players are going to be on a lot less wages than any experienced one. I think the only thing that I'm also thinking could be a benefit for us, especially if Diallo comes in, when we're looking at our attackers, is there going to be as much pressure on the striker if we've got, and again, another caveat, but a fully fit Quadro Bar and a Diallo or a Vata? We know those guys can chip in with goals. Can those guys pitch in with 10 and maybe
True.
so? Yeah, yeah.
And we're only playing one up top, right? We're only playing one striker.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, do you know what I mean? We have unearthed Igalo, Vidra in the past, who came from kind of, I don't know. I think this guy is from a low level from what I've seen, but you never know. Sometimes these lads just find the right environment, score a lucky one off their arse in the first game. Their confidence is up and they fly. Hopefully that's the case. So after this video, we're going to get it up as soon as possible, and then I'm going to jump on Y Scout and have a deeper look.
I think we'll leave it there because I know you've got to shoot off and get onto Y Scout. But surely, Charlie, just to wrap up, surely you're getting a little bit excited about the transfer window. I know I mentioned it 3 times, but surely the juices are flowing at this point.
A lot better than previous years, where I think last year we were like, did a tier list for rumours. Like, how many have we got in this year? 6, 7, 8? Like, it's proactive and it is different. But I just think if Diallo comes through, I'd be excited. But hey, I'm just looking forward to Charlton away. Hopefully seeing you guys there. If it's anything like the first game of the season last season, if I see Mr. Paolo Pezzolano doing some fist bumps in front of the away end after a victory, I'll be fully back in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got me dreaming of a couple of pints at London Bridge and then heading down to Charlton. Thank you so much to Charlie for joining us. Thank you so much to everybody who watched today. Let us know, as always, your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm just reading sort of the news coming through. It's always good when we go live and something comes through as we're doing it. There's a good buzz to it. But thanks so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Comment down below your thoughts on all the things we discussed here today. If you want to get involved in the conversation, we really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, follow Charlie and myself and WD18 at WD18 fans. And we will see you in the next one to discuss 5 strikers Watford should sign.
Don't need to do it anymore.
Potentially. We'll do a breakdown of all the signings. Come up on the channel. Take care of yourselves, guys. And we will see you very, very soon. I'll be honest. You want?